Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about all of the books that I read in January. For me, January felt like it was kind of a slow reading month because I did not tackle many of the books on my January TBR. You can watch my Picking my February TBR if you want to see what books I did and didn't read. But looking at my journal, and I have my fresh book spread for the year, I actually got through 8 books in the month of January, and this year I've decided to do something a little bit different. So it has a very similar layout to last year. However, this year I've started numbering my books, so like the order that I finish them in, which we'll see if I maintain that throughout the year, but that's the plan. So instead of going through my books in like physical book, audiobook format, I think I'm going to go through them in the order that I finished the books this month. So I'll be referring back to my bullet journal quite a bit. And without further ado, let's get started. So the first book in the month of January that I finished was actually an audiobook, and I'll pop it up here, was Bomb. And this was all about the race to build the atomic bomb. I found it very interesting, and it definitely like sparked my like science brain and wanting to read some more nonfiction books this year. And I also really want to rewatch Oppenheimer and read American Prometheus, which is the book that inspired the movie. So that was really like engaging and a very quick audiobook to get through. Then my second book was actually an book I read in ebook format, so I'll pop a picture up here as well. It was Confessions of the Sullivan Sisters. This is a book that I read probably when I was in high school. I had physically borrowed it from the library then, and then I had put it back on my to be read list, so I was able to check that off. I think I might do a video on my digital TBR list, and kind of show you how a lot of the audiobooks and ebooks that I check out are from my digital TBR list. I really try to read books that are off of one of those lists, either my physical TBR shelf, which is up here, or that TBR list. So I read Confessions of the Sullivan Sisters. It is a really like interesting and different like young adult book. And I have never read anything else like it, so I really enjoyed my reread of that. Book number 3 I finished was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This book was so good. I didn't want to put it down. I really liked the format of it, and it has made me want to read more of Taylor Jenkins Reid's backlog of books, so I think I'll have some more of her books on my TBR list soon. Even though she did quite a bit of foreshadowing, I never knew what was going to happen next, which I really enjoyed. And I figured out that this book actually belongs to me, and I got it as a gift when I thought for the longest time I had borrowed it from my mom, but it's actually my book. So that was nice to find out. So now it has a permanent home on my bookshelves. Book number 4 was another audiobook. It was The Ghosts of Eden Park. This was a nonfiction audiobook that takes place during Prohibition, about one of the most famous bootleggers of the time, and the murder that he commits. And it is just a very fascinating, so much so that it doesn't sound like real life, but like all of these events actually happened, and the quotes and stuff are taken from court documents. So very interesting, worth a read, and I definitely want to read more by that author. Book number 5 was also an audiobook. It was Rain, which is the 4th book, I believe, in the American Royals series. So now I think I have finished all of Catherine McGee's backlog of books. I really enjoyed her Thousandth Floor series. That's definitely worth a read if you haven't. So next I finished, what was book number 6? Book number 6, very exciting one, was House of Sky and Breath, which is the second Crescent City book. I finished it just before the end of the month of January, and then I did, spoiler alert, pick up the third book in the series. I'm about halfway through it right now as I'm filming this, but it is so good and hard to put down. I love it so far. I enjoy the characters, her writing, the universe that she's created. It is just one that I connect so much with the story, which makes reading so much, like, it makes reading so much more enjoyable, and it's just why I love reading good books. So I really love the copy of this. It is beautiful, and I'm just love diving back into her worlds. Book number 7 that I finished finally was Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. This book was really hard for me to get through, maybe just because I wasn't in the mood for this type of nonfiction. It definitely tackles some really tough subjects and makes you face, or like, not makes you face, but brings to the forefront the history of death row and the prison system in the United States. It was a really good book, really well written. I just don't think I was in the mood for it when I read it, but I really wanted to get through this book and get it off my TBR shelf. It's been there for so long. It's definitely worth a read. And again, really well written, loved the storyline. It just was one that maybe I wasn't in the mood for nonfiction, and it was hard for me to get through. And then finally, book number 8 was actually a novella, and this was the prequel to the American Royals series. So I listened to it as an audiobook. It was only about 3 hours long, so definitely short. But you finally get one of the storylines that she references throughout that whole series about why certain events have taken place. You get this storyline, like what actually happened, which is just a fun little exploration further into that world. But with that, I'm pretty sure I read all of her available books, so I'm interested to see what type of books she books out next. And those are the 8 books that I finished in the month of January. February should be a really fun reading month for me. I picked out some books that I'm really excited to read from my TBR Jar Picks My Reads. So go ahead and watch that video, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.